Every city in the U.S. is known for something. Miami is known for its hot beaches and nightlife. New York, it's got Broadway. And Milwaukee, well, Milwaukee's got beer. It's been shaping this city for generations. And while some of the big names may not be around anymore, well, the suds are still flowing here.
The conversation is lively and the beer is flowing on this Saturday night in Milwaukee, a city whose name is synonymous with America's beer-making history. This is the Holler House, a corner bar that's been serving up suds since 1908. In the basement, you'll find one of the nation's oldest working bowling alleys. While they serve up all kinds of drinks, it's really all about the beer. And tonight, the patrons here are lucky enough not just to consume some of this town's best-known beverage, they're also getting to learn about its history.
This is the Valentin Blatz Monument.
Jim Cooper-Schmidt is a resident historian on all things beer in Milwaukee. Tonight, he's leading this group on a tour through the Forest Home Cemetery just across the street from the Holler House.
Okay, this is the Joseph Schlitz Monument. Problem is, he's not buried here. He died in a shipwreck in 1875.
The names here are well known in these parts and all across the country. The beer barons who helped give Milwaukee a reputation for brewing perhaps more than any other American city. Like Captain Fred Pabst, tonight played by Dan Emmer.
We had also built farms out in Wauwatosa, hops farms, where we grew our own hops, and that's where I bred my percher on horses. My son Fred Jr. was very enamored with the horses, and he would go to...
When people talk about beer, they think of Milwaukee. They're synonymous.
Even this city's baseball team is the Brewers. But walk through what was once Beer Brewing Central with Jim, and you realize that much of the beer history in Milwaukee is just that.
Tell me about the impact that these breweries had on Milwaukee, economy-wise and city growth-wise.
Well, in the year 1890, brewing was the biggest industry in Milwaukee. It was only 1 year. Then the industrial side of Milwaukee came forward.
And over the years, in terms of employees and supporting the economy, they must have had a pretty significant impact.
Oh, absolutely.
Good taverns can build a real beer business around Blue Ribbon Draft. Hotels need it to cater to the taste of travelers.
In the heyday of the 1800s, hops for Milwaukee's beers were grown not far from the city center, and farms were sometimes owned by the brewers themselves. These days, one large brewery remains. Miller Coors turns out 10 million barrels of Miller beers each year. And the historic Plank Road Brewery still attracts visitors for tours. Across town, one recent addition to the suds scene is trading on that Milwaukee tradition. Sprecker's brews several types of beers, from ambers to Bavarian blends.
So we bought half ales, half lagers, and today we have many kind of exotic beers as well. In the gluten-free, we have a couple of African styles that are gluten-frees that drink sort of like Belgian dessert beers almost.
Randall Sprecher developed a passion for traditional beers during his military service in Europe. In 1985, he turned that passion into a business. Today, Sprecher's distributes beer and flavored sodas across the country.
If you go around the world, people know Milwaukee is the home of beer, you know, famous for beer. And we still have that marketing niche, you know, so to speak, that if it's from Milwaukee, we ought to give it a chance, because there's a lot of people who did a lot of good beers, great beers over a great number of generations. But we're finding that the people who liked the initial styles are still there, they drink less, they've gotten older, and we come up with newer styles to go after the younger market.
Randall sees a bright future for brewing in Milwaukee with a resurgence in craft and specialty brewers in the state.
Some of these we're taking 12 weeks to make.
Really?
Yeah, we don't go fast. We do everything, all the European styles we do traditionally.
And with an eye to the past, Jim Cooper-Schmidt and others are hoping to build a Milwaukee Beer History Museum. They already have their building, and efforts are underway to secure financing. In the meantime, you'll find Jim and his friends back at the Holler House raising a glass, keeping Milwaukee's beer tradition alive.
Even though Milwaukee only has one large brewery now, and of course Miller Coors, and we don't have the quantity of beer coming out of Milwaukee as we used to, I think Milwaukee's still considered the beer capital because we own the history.